able to come down and at the leadership event in Cancun, and it was phenomenal. Because that was really the first domino to bring in someone from the outside that we had a great relationship with, that loved us, believed in us, and believed in what we were doing, and then communicate leadership information at a really high level, which most of these people have never seen. I've rarely seen it because Tom is not somebody that you typically have access to. He's just not. I mean, if you're advising the CEO of Cisco, most people don't get access to that type of person. But we were fortunate enough to do that on a one-on-one basis in Cancun. And it helped to really bring us together. It was a pivotal moment I think in the life of the company. I don't think you can understate that, because it really was. Because it helped to clarify our mission, brought us together, and put us back on the same purpose. Because we had gone through issues with the world of CBD and hemp, and being a mover and shaker in the political world, and getting everything legalized. All the trials and tribulation, we were paving the road. I love the old story that my dad used to say about a missionary down in South America. As many of you know, my dad's, old Southern Baptist preacher. So he's got lots of stories about other missionaries and preachers as well. I love the story about the the missionary down in South America who sent word back to the mission board and said, "Things are going great. The Lord is blessing our work. Send me as many people as you can." And word came back from the missionary board that said, "We would love to send help, but there are no roads to where you are. So as soon as roads are built, we will send you help." And the missionary wrote back and said, "I don't want people that need roads. I want trailblazers." And I love that story, because what we have been trailblazers in the world of hemp. Mm-hmm. And as we fought the good fight and introduced the highest quality product available in the world today, it also wears you out and beats you down. And every now and then, like every year, every couple of years, you need to recenter and realize, oh my God, we're at a place in time, in history, with the fastest growing industry the world has ever seen, which is hemp, growing from 20 million to over to 20 billion. And then add skincare on top of that, another 100 billion. $120 billion is up for grabs here. But still, even with the knowledge of that, you go through the trials and tribulations, and you begin to pull back, and you think, oh my God, I'm exhausted. I'm too tired. I can't go on. And then somebody like Tom comes along and looks at it from the outside and goes, oh my gosh, what you guys have here is amazing. You've got a culture that loves. You've got a servant-based culture. And this is an amazing thing that you guys have built, and I want to be a part of it. And with that outside knowledge, you go, wow, okay, maybe we are in an amazing place. And then with the wisdom that he gave us to help elevate our game at every level. I love this guy. One of the smartest people that you'll ever meet, one of the best listeners that you'll ever work with, somebody that cares deeply, and he brings a skill set which is invaluable. Not a skill set just focused on network marketing. Some guy that, I made $2 million in network marketing back in 1996, and now I'm making my living selling books and teaching people how to do network marketing. No. He works with companies to help them generate $50 billion in revenue. Real companies out there, and oftentimes people don't think of network marketing as a real company, but I do, and Tom does as well, because I think it is the most sophisticated sales model for introducing high-end products and services to the inline consumer. I don't think there's anything better. I think it's perfectly made for him. Tom shares that belief as well, and he's passionate about what we're doing here. And I can't tell you how blessed I feel to have Tom a part of the Prime My Body family. So what you're about to get is you're about to get a high-level, NBA-level training but down to earth, simple for even stupid people like me to be able to understand and comprehend it and use it. Ladies and gentlemen, from San Diego, and I always forget the exact name of the town. It's a very fancy naming sounding town, but it's very close to San Diego. So I'm going to put you in the San Diego, California area, Mr. Tom McCarthy. Please welcome to the virtual Zoom stage from California, Mr. Tom McCarthy. It's all yours, brother. Are you there? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I got you loud and clear, man.
All right. Awesome. Hey, thank you so much. That introduction was really over the top, Paul. You didn't need, you made me feel a little bit embarrassed, but thank you so much. I love you and great to see you. And I asked Paul, by the way, I said, next time I want to be flown into Austin to do this from Paul's house because they look like you're having so much fun there, but it's wonderful to be with everybody. And what Paul said about this company, Prime My Body, is absolutely true. When I looked at it and I spent that time down in Mexico, I told Paul, I said, this is a billion-dollar company. And I've worked with many billion-dollar companies, and I've worked with many companies that weren't a billion and made it to a billion. And Prime My Body, mark my words, is a billion-dollar company. And I believe that for three reasons. Obviously, the products are absolutely amazing. And I've been on all this afternoon, watching Dr. Siegel with Pause, Dr. Lita with Calm, and Dr. Ron, a little bit of his, or actually Dr. Lita with Shield, and then Dr. Ron with Calm and Focus. But I absolutely love the products. We use them in our house. That's one reason. Second reason, leadership. The leadership of Prime My Body is unparalleled. The heart of Paul, JT, the people we have in leadership are absolutely amazing. And I'm used to working with some of the best leaders on the planet. We have that in our company. And then the third thing, and this is what I fell in love with in Mexico, is all of you. We have an amazing team out in the field that is going to make this a billion-dollar company. Now, we got to grow. We got to bring more people on, but it's going to happen. I'm committed to it. I'll do whatever it takes on my end to make sure that we grow this company so we can help more people and make a bigger impact on the planet. Now, my topic today, and I'm going to share my screen here. My topic today is actually the title of my new book. And let me just go to slideshow. And so my new book, which is almost fully written, actually is pretty much fully written. We're just doing some final edits. It's called Life Without Limits. And it sounds like, kind of a fairy tale title. Life without limits to me doesn't mean that there's, everything you want, you have it immediately. What it means is that the things you really want, the things you want to focus in on, you can break through pretty much any limit. And so I'm going to share with you my philosophy. And I loved hearing Jonas earlier talking about, how he thinks, because it's absolutely in line with the way I think. Paul, JT, everybody that is part of this company, I think is absolutely in line with the way that my thought structure and belief system goes. So to create a life without limit, first thing I want you to look at is to create a life without limits, you got to get outside of your comfort zone. And 98% of the population, if you can see this picture, is living in their comfort zone. And they pretty much will do it their entire life. They will go to their grave with the best thoughts, the best ideas, the best actions still within them. I was on a flight several years ago, and I was flying from Newark, New Jersey to LA. And the guy sitting next to me was the drummer for Bruce Springsteen for the E Street Band. And also he was the co-host at the time for the Conan O'Brien show. And I was talking with him, and at the time, Bruce Springsteen was in his 60s, maybe 65 years old, 67 years old. I think he's in his 70s now. But I remember talking with this guy, and he was telling me how he had been with Bruce Springsteen since he was about 18 years old. And now this guy was in his 60s also. His name was Max. And he was telling me how Bruce Springsteen and the band, even though they had had decades of success, huge #1 hits, they felt in their 60s, their best music was still yet to come. Your best days are yet to come. But to do that, you got to get outside your comfort zone. You got to be part of that 2% that's willing to do something to get outside of the comfort zone. Another statistic I saw was, and hopefully this is not true of all of you listening, but when somebody listens to some ideas, like what I'm going to share with you today, and really some habits, that's what I truly want to share with you today, they say out of the average audience, about 3% of people actually take action. Now, I hope it's not 3%. But if it is 3%, just ask yourself right now, are you part of that 3%?
Yes.
Are you going to be someone that's going to do something after you hear what I have to say? Or are you going to, say, it was nice, I liked it, and carry on within your comfort zone? We have to get outside of our comfort zones. And question I like to ask, and I know we're midway through the year, but look at starting right now, the next 12 months. Are you ready for a life-changing year? One of my favorite leaders in corporate America, I saw him do a little talk one time. He brought me in, he spoke before me, and he asked a question, or he basically said, look, I don't want people that just want to have a good year. He said, I want people on my team that want to have a life-changing year. Woo. He said, do you want to have a life-changing year? And I'm asking you, do you want to have a life-changing year? We've already had some changes, obviously, with the virus and the isolation and many things that have been going on. But I'm talking about a positive, life-changing breakthrough year. Because if you want to have that, I've got some ideas and habits that I know, I'm 100% confident will allow you to do that. And the reason I know is because I've used them on myself. Growing up, and I'll tell a little bit of my story a little bit later, but growing up, I didn't have the best childhood. I didn't have the easiest way. And I'm not trying to, say, oh, poor me, because I know plenty of people had it harder than me. But I wasn't the person people probably looked at and said, oh, he's going to be super successful. Especially if they knew the thoughts and the things that were going through my head, because I didn't have a great story. Like Jonas talked about story. I'll talk about that too. But what I learned over the years was that we're habit machines. 95% of what you do, of what I do in a day, is not based upon us making a choice. It's based upon our habits. So if we build better habits, then our habits build a better us. First we make our habits, then our habits make us. So in Life Without Limits, there's 3 big concepts. I don't like to say there's 48 million things you got to do. There may be, but I like to try and break it down into consumable concepts. There's 3 big ideas in Life Without Limits. The first one, and we'll go into these with some habits for each of these in just a minute, but the first one is focus. What are you focused on? And what I'm going to suggest to you is rather than having a wide focus where you're trying to do everything really well, which is impossible, figure out what you can narrow it down to. What are the important things that need your focus that you can really put your time and passion and energy into to create huge breakthroughs? And your business is one of those. We're going to focus today on your Prime My Body business. How can you put more focus into it and then obsess? Well, I don't mean obsess like in a negative way where it takes over your whole life, but where you've got some passion and energy for it. I've got a couple of habits on that. The second thing, Jonas talked about it. Instead of change your story, I say improve your story. Because you can change your story and actually be a little bit negative, right? Some people have changed their story during the coronavirus, the isolation, and it's actually become a more disempowering story for them. They don't believe things are possible that maybe they even used to believe in. And so I think improve your story, improve your life. I've got a couple of habits on that. And then finally, it does come down to action too. You got to have a great story that's going to drive your action, but you've got to pack your day with inspired actions. And so we'll get into how to do that. So the first big idea, and I already alluded to it a little bit, but there's so many things that are calling for our attention. And we tend to be, going after shiny objects sometimes. Oh, look at this, look at that. And it's why you see, even in businesses, why people jump from one company to another. They can't keep their focus. The most successful people on the planet, they have incredible focus. They narrow their focus, just like these glasses that you see here on the slide. They're not taking in everything. They're taking in a part of what's out there. And so what we have to do is we have to figure out, where are we going to put our focus? We have 24 hours in a day. That's all anybody gets. The most successful, richest, happiest person on the planet, they don't get more than 24 hours. We all start the day equal, 24 hours. And then you have to choose what to do with those. And by the way, I'm not saying stay up 24 hours so you can take action all day too. That would be silly. Part of what you need to focus on is sleep, which is why we have a great product like Calm. But we have to focus in fewer areas in order to be great. No one is great at everything. The people that I talk with, I had 2 conversations with incredibly wealthy people this past week. Like financially, they've crushed it. They made more money than they'll ever need, hundreds of millions. And you know what? They were struggling emotionally. They were struggling with their health. So they haven't focused in on some of those areas. So we need to make sure we're focused in the areas that we want to have a breakthrough and impact. And then once you focus, there's a couple of habits I have with you. And you guys recognize this guy. I got this picture late last night, hot off the press. But habit number 1, fall in love with what you do. Prime My Body, if it's something that you're trying out, checking to see if it's going to work, you won't be that successful. The people that succeed in Prime My Body, that have succeeded in Prime My Body, the people that succeed in anything, whether it be sports or business or music or dance or spelling or whatever it is, the people that are truly successful, they actually love what they do. And JT is a perfect example. He absolutely loves what he does. He loves helping people get healthy with the products that Prime My Body has. And just as much, and maybe even more, he loves helping people become successful in business, in network marketing. He loves it. He's got a passion for it. He's not every day having to get himself out of bed, drag himself out of bed, and do something he doesn't like to do. He loves it. Now, I don't know if he loved it right away. I've been married 30 years. I love my wife right away. But I tell you, the secret for being married for 30 years is continue to keep falling in love, even after the argument, even after something doesn't go right. And so this habit, I want you to check yourself on this. How in love are you with this business? And if you're not as in love with it as you think you should be, your job is to fall deeper in love. It's not to go, I'm not in love. I guess it means they leave. No, that's not what I'm saying. Fall in love. See how amazing it is. Like look at everything that's going on in this company. Look at the great products. Remind yourself of all the good stuff. Because as human beings, what we tend to focus on is the little issue, the little problem. And then when we focus on that, we see more little issues. And we lose sight totally of how amazing this is. I hope today it's been another just opportunity for you to fall more in love with what we're doing at Prime My Body. That's habit number 1. All right, Habit number 2, become a thought leader. You don't know who this person is, but her name is Maria Martinez. Maria grew up in Puerto Rico in a very poor family. But she fell in love with what she became now very famous at, which is she was an engineer, but she fell in love with something called customer success. And she eventually was hired by Salesforce, and she was one of the top 3 or 4 people at Salesforce. She made tens of millions of dollars. She's incredibly successful. And then she was hired away from Salesforce.com to Cisco Systems. And the reason she's in any company, if she were available today, customer success, making sure that customers can consume products, especially in technology, she is the thought leader. She is the one that has become an expert on how you can do that. I believe you need to be a thought leader. Now, you need to be a thought leader, obviously, of the products. You need to know enough about the products. But if you're new in the business, it's okay. You don't need to know that right away. You've got time. But becoming a thought leader is just having a passion for learning more, where you can, you're not dabbling. You really want to be that expert, that person that can help somebody choose a great solution. And not only with our products, but with our opportunity. You want to become a thought leader, an expert in helping people start a business and become successful in a business. And so how do you do that? Well, it goes beyond just doing the business every day. It's attending meetings like this today. All of you are becoming thought leaders. You're learning more. You're becoming more of an expert today by what you're doing. It's reading the FAQs on products. It's tapping into all the different trainings and then going beyond that, seeking out leaders, asking for advice, asking for new ideas, taking action. But when you do that, you start to stand out. You become outstanding at what you do. Hopefully, every single person in this session today, one of your goals is to become an expert. Experts attract people. JT's an expert. The reason he's so successful is because people want to come work with him because he's an expert. So become an expert. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some energy and effort, but it's something you can do over time. And really where you need to become an expert is on the business end. You can get really good with the products, but we've got other experts there that can even help you. Doctors like Dr. Ron, Dr. Lita, and Dr. Siegel, and all our great doctors. Become an expert there, but really become an expert on helping people succeed in business. That is going to be invaluable. All right, second big idea. Normally when I talk, I like to get a lot of feedback, and we're not getting that right now. But look at what that says. Improve your story, improve your life. And also, My New Life, Chapter 1. When does it start? Every day. Every day you get to write the next chapter. The beginning chapter of today is Chapter 1, right? We're writing it right now. And so in writing that chapter, one thing I want you to think about, the story that you have inside of you. Jonas talked about that already. The story you have inside of you influences everything. We think, I know it influences me, but it influences everyone around us. And this is a little example. They took teachers. I love this example. They took teachers that were going to start the school year, had not met any of their students yet, and they told these teachers, you are in for a treat this year. They said, we have selected the best and brightest students, and we filled your class with only the best and brightest. So we expect a lot out of you, teacher. And the teachers were kind of, excited, challenged, and they rose to a different level because they knew they had to bring their A game every single time. And so they taught the heck out of whatever they were teaching. They have enthusiasm and passion every single day, or maybe in the past they hadn't. And it was based on this story they were told. They said, they had great kids. You got to perform highly. And guess what happened? The kids did perform at a much higher level. Their test scores went through the roof. They were so much more successful. And this teacher did such an improved job over what they would have already done. But guess what? The story wasn't even true. The story of them having their classes packed with gifted and talented students wasn't true. The students were chosen randomly. But because that teacher embraced that story, what happened was they taught at a level where all these kids became gifted and talented. And even the gifted and talented ones went to a whole nother level. What's your story? What's your story about the business right now? Prime My Body? What's your story about the world situation we have? Is it no one can succeed, or is it, you know what, there's always a way, I'll figure it out? Or I'm going to use this, like JT and a lot of people have done, I'm going to use this opportunity where things are different, where I've been knocked off kilter, I'm going to use it to grow. I'm going to grow like crazy through this thing. So whatever your story is, it's impacting you, and it's impacting your team, and it's impacting people that you show up to, talked about Prime My Body, and invite them into our opportunity. Your story is on display. You might not think, oh, Tom, they don't know what I'm really thinking. Yeah, they do. We give off an energy. It's a vibe that goes out. So I want to just share with you a little bit of my story. This is my dad. And that's me on the right-hand side. I think I was about, almost 2 years old there. My brother Bob is on the other side with my dad. And I don't really remember this. Obviously, I was very, very young. And I also don't remember too much because I was only 3 of this picture. But this picture is about a year later, and my dad was an Army officer. And now I'm getting presented at the age of 3 with a medal that my dad had earned. And the reason he wasn't getting presented with it was because he was killed in Vietnam. And this was in the living room of my old house there. I can actually remember looking out one of the windows of that house, watching the person show up to my house to let my mom know, it's my mother there, that my dad had been killed in Vietnam. And my mother also had just given birth to a 3rd son, a little baby, that my dad never got to see because he was in Vietnam. My story growing up, based on this, was not a very empowering story. It was sad. It was not very resourceful. My mother was grieving for a long, long time, probably grieved all the way up until her death. And she didn't live to be that old, about 68 years old. I still remember her, when she was sick and not feeling well, saying, why did your father have to die? And unfortunately, my mother never really repaired her story. And she was an amazing mother. She was so loving and so caring. But the fact that she carried that story of grief with her so long really impacted her health. And it's one of the reasons I think she didn't live quite as long. And then I had a story of fear, of loss, of always, things not working out. And I had to work on that story. And it took me a long time because at first I didn't know you could change your story. And so a lot of things I did. I played football in college, but I wasn't near as good as I could have been because I was always afraid. I always was afraid that something bad would happen or I would make a mistake. And when you're living your life with that kind of story in your head, you're not going to be successful. But then I learned you can change your story. And for me, this has been the most powerful thing I've learned in my life. That you can let go of things that don't work for you anymore. You can let go of disempowering stories. And by the way, I'm 59 years old. I'm an old guy now. I'm still working on myself, right? I've done well financially. I've had many different businesses and done lots of things. I've been married 30 years. I've got 2 amazing kids. I've got unbelievable friends like Paul and just like so many amazing friends. And I still am working on myself because stuff just keeps popping up. It's like you go to the cafeteria. Remember back in high school or college, right? You take that plate off to get in line, and what pops up? Another plate. And I think that's the story of our lives. You think there's some perfect person out here? Come on. I've worked with, Tony Robbins. I've worked with lots of people, and they're amazing people, and they're still working on themselves. And so letting go of your disempowering stories is a daily job. And one of the things, little strategies you can start to use, a little mental game, is just imagine you have a little shredder in your head. And some of you heard me talk about this already, but maybe you need a little reminder. Imagine you have a little shredder. And when a thought comes up or an experience comes up that pulls you down, that makes you feel weaker, instead of just going, oh, okay, I guess I'll always have this, say, heck no. Put it through the shredder. Imagine it just being shredded into a million pieces. And maybe you need to imagine it 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times. But what you're doing is giving your brain the message, done with this story. I am done with this story. Fine, it was my past. It will not be my future. So use the shredder. And remember, every day, get rid of things that don't fit you anymore. All right, habit number 4. You gotta pump yourself up too. You gotta be your own best cheerleader. I mean, it'd be nice if we had, it'd be nice if I had, a bunch of people in here going, let's go, Tom. Paul actually did it for me. It was really nice, kind of pumped me up. But I don't have that. No, I almost never have that. I got to get Paul to follow me around a little bit more. And I'll do it for Paul too, because I love that guy. I mean, he's amazing. But we've got to be our own best cheerleader. We've got to be telling ourselves how great we are. And you've got to start telling yourself how great you are right now. Not when you get a big, huge commission check. That's fine doing it then, but that's almost too late. The people that get the big checks were the ones that were cheering themselves on. When it was tough, when it wasn't working out, they were cheering themselves on. And so this is something you've got to do. I've got a little routine that I do before I get up to speak. And it's my own little inner cheerleader, right? Because these are not thoughts I normally, go around every single minute of the day saying, but I just pump myself up. I love being with this team. They're like my friends and family. I'm loving, caring, connected. I'm energized, inspired. I literally have a little routine I go through that takes me from being maybe tired or going, oh my gosh, do I have to go do another speech, to like, yeah, let's do it. But I put myself through that process. I cheer myself on. I get myself to feel like I've already won before I even show up. And before you go to invite somebody, before you conduct an opportunity meeting, get yourself ready. Don't go in going, I hope this goes okay. I think I know everything I want to do. No, come on. You go, I got this. Even if it's just one little line. I hope everybody, if there's one thing you do this, right? Hope you do more than this. But I'm not asking you to do all these habits. Pick one. If you're not cheering yourself on, if you're not spending more time thinking about how awesome you are inside, giving yourself permission to be awesome, start doing it right now. Okay? So pump yourself up. And then habit number 5, use adversity to strengthen your story. Most people, they pump themselves up, something doesn't go right, and then they go, done. And now I'm done, right? I can't do this anymore. What I've learned to do is pump myself up, and a lot of times things go well, but if something doesn't go right, I'm like, all right, how can I use this? How can I get better from this? In my book, Life Without Limits, I have this younger person that's getting mentored by these 3 awesome people. And these people all have had to strengthen their story through adversity. There's a woman that's one of the mentors that heads up a tech company, CEO for a tech company. And in the beginning, she had a story where, this can't be possible I could do that, right? I want to be a mother. She had children. She wanted to be a great spouse. She wanted to succeed in business. She thought you couldn't have it all. And there were little things that were popping up. And then finally, she used those things to get stronger where she could have it all. There's another person a mentor in the book that is a minority, African American, and he got caught up in some things, and actually in the story went to prison, got out, and became incredibly successful because he used that situation of his childhood and growing up and falling in with the wrong group to grow. And then he made his whole life about helping other people to do that, including this person that's going through the story. You've got to use adversity. Use the heck out of it. It's there for a reason. If something's not right in your life right now, if you think something's not right in your life, I want you to relook at it. It's absolutely right. It's there to teach you something. It's there to make you stronger. And the more you embrace that the universe is always working in your favor, and what shows up you may not like, but if you use it, it takes you to where you want to go. The more you embrace that, there's nothing that will ever stop you. It's part of living a life without limits. All right, let's go to the third big idea. It's action. Pack your day. Put as much great stuff in your day that is inspired actions. And when I say inspired actions, take a look at this. I'm not talking about just like, frenzy, like just doing, stuff every single minute, right? Solid effort. Not over the top, but solid. You got to be solid. You got to be putting enough in terms of effort. Where you can excel, and I think it even better, is with breakthrough effectiveness. Like really learning what is it out of those efforts that allow you to make the breakthroughs. What are the efforts that are more powerful and doing more of those efforts versus just doing stuff, right? That's how you get breakthrough results. And then when you look at actions, there's actually two types of actions. And you see this, you've got to balance them. I call them achievement actions, work actions. It's inviting people. It's getting on the phone. It's learning about the products and talking about the products with people. So those are work actions, right? Leading your team. Those are work actions. You also need replenishment actions. You need sleep. You need maybe not meditation. I meditate. I'm not saying everyone has to meditate, but prayer, meditation. You need some downtime. You need some fun things in your life. And so when you talk about packing your day, I'm not saying just grind. You got to go hard in some ways, but then you also have to replenish. And if all you do is grind, you burn out. And I've seen people do that. I've done that, right? I've been guilty of that. So you've got to have two types of actions. I've got just two more habits. Habit number 6, focus on your breakthrough quadrant. And be a great exercise for all of you to do. You just draw out 4 squares and look at it. Impact on results on the bottom. There's certain things that you're going to do in a day that won't really impact your results. Low impact. Like not much, maybe you like doing them, but they're not going to impact your results. And then there's other things that have big impact that will really take you to a whole other level, right? So we want to figure out, how do we do more of the big impact? And then the other thing, right, you see the column where it's up and down, and there's low and high. Likability. There's certain things you don't like to do, right? And then there's things you love to do. Now, when you look at human beings, where they tend to gravitate to is things they like to do. And these are just examples here. Things they like to do, right? So there's some things they like to do, though, that won't really move the needle. That's okay. You do some of those, but I have them in a yellow box. Be careful because they're time killers. They're time wasters. How much of your day is spent doing things that take up time? They kind of make you feel good, but they're not really getting you to where you want to go in your business, with your family, in your life, right? And take a hard look at yourself. I've had to do this, right? All right, why am I doing this? Why am I walking into the kitchen one more time to snack? I don't need to. I'm just diverting myself from doing something that could be more meaningful. And then there's things in the upper right, green block, that you really like to do, and they impact your results. Do the heck out of those. But the breakthrough quadrant are the things that have huge impact that you don't right now like to do. Understand, though, what you like to do right now is based upon what your brain has been accustomed to doing over the years. There's things like all of you have a food you didn't like in the past that now you love. Guess what? To break through, there's an action that right now you probably don't like. You got to start doing it. Because, and by the way, you'll probably like it once you do it. Because you go, well, why did I think this was so bad? And those are things that I've learned over the years. Like when I dig down into that breakthrough quadrant, I find gold. The things I didn't think I liked to do, I got myself to do them. And when I got myself to do them, I went to a whole nother level. Now, when you do the things that are tougher, the things you don't like to do, don't procrastinate. I call it do the tough stuff first. Early in the day, knock it out. Be a badass, right? Knock it out. And then all of a sudden, it's like, wow, I got this. Also, the reason we do it earlier in the day, your willpower is strongest earlier in the day. Something you naturally don't like, if you put it off to later in the day, your willpower will be weakest. You probably won't do it. If you want to do the breakthrough quadrant, which I recommend everybody does, do those things earlier in the day. Final habit. Schedule your fortress of focus. When like right now, I'm on with you. I'm not, somebody might be walking out in my yard. I'm not out there looking at them, seeing what's going on. 100% focus on you. If someone were to call me, I was doing a session the other day, and someone running a $30 billion company called me, and it popped up on my computer, and I recognized the person, but I'm like, I'm not taking that call, right? I was kind of pissed off at myself. I didn't have it silenced, so it was my iPhone and my computer were linked. It's like that group that I was with was way more important than at that time than this person, even though this other person gives me over $1 million of business, right? I created a fortress of focus. The average person gets distracted so many times during the day. They spend 2 hours a day distracted. And it's because they're multitasking. They're not focused. Like, we should have literally a bubble we operate in when we're focused on doing something. And you've got to create that, because I know you're at your house and there's things happening. I'm not saying it's an all-day bubble. It could be a 30-minute bubble where you tell your family, hey, I got to do this now. I got to focus in. And also where you're not checking your emails and text and Instagram. Focus in on big things. The most successful people, it's what they do. And here's the other reason why you want to do it. Once you start doing something like inviting people to an upcoming opportunity meeting, and then an email comes in or a text comes in, and you go, oh, let me check this, and you get distracted, do you know how long it takes you to get back on track at the same level you were at before you got distracted? It takes over 15 minutes to get back at that same level of momentum. Schedule your fortress of focus. The most successful people on the planet, it's what they do. And so, 3 big ideas. Focus on less and obsess. Improve your story, improve your life, and pack your day with inspired actions. Here's how I want to end this. I want to ask you to pick a habit. Pick one. There they are. You can take a picture of it. Pick one habit and commit to it. And to commit to it, I'm saying create a daily ritual where it becomes ingrained in your brain and becomes part of how you operate. And if you do that, if you pick a habit that you ingrain within you, now it runs you. If you become a constant learner, a thought leader, and you have a passion for what we do in Find My Body, that's going to run you. You're going to seek out information. If you're your own best cheerleader, that's going to run you because you're going to just pump yourself up every single time. Don't try and do all of them. Pick one. And then after you've got that one in place, pick another. But I encourage all of you, pick something now. Don't wait to do it 5 minutes from now. Every second you wait beyond right now of circling one of those ideas, writing them down, the chances of you actually doing it go way down. And then your time and my time aren't going to be as valuable as they could have been. I can't wait to meet all of you. I know I've met several of you in Mexico. And by the way, that's where I truly, truly fell in love with the company. Just being around all of you and the energy and just seeing the passion and the leadership that we have in this company. I see huge things ahead. And honestly, I said it's $1 billion company. I believe we can become much bigger than that, but it's going to take all of you. So love you and thank you very much.